Nobody taught you where you were actually going. And you know what? They couldn't. So many of the people around us were just surviving. And they could not teach what they themselves had never been taught or had never done. And so we got handed to us what they were given. And so where were we going? Well, we were going right where we are right now. And this is not a life that many of us are satisfied with. Many of us don't like this life. Or, well, no, hold on. It's not that we don't like this life so much as we don't like where we are in life. Because of what we were taught, because of what was given to us, because of where they were, this is where we are. And here's the thing, we are worthy of better than this, more than this, but just better than this. Because when we hear the word more, we often think, well, that means, wealth and material possessions, which that can mean that. But more that we have the choice to be where we want to be, where we could figure out to be, to decide to be in that place. And that is true for those who taught us as well. They were worthy of so much more. But we were given from what they had, and they were given from what others had. And there's a whole conversation to be had where this thinking came from in our culture, because our culture was built on builders, creators, and entrepreneurs. That's what gave us so much of what we have today that we enjoy. I mean, I like my big screen TV. I like my tablet, which is right down here where you can't see it. I like the cell phone that I have that provides this that I'm able to do with you, and I love YouTube. All of that was provided by the spirit of what built the West. Entrepreneurship. Like, I guess I should not say that's the spirit, but that's a part of the spirit. That's a better way of saying it. That's a part of the spirit of what built the West to give us the lives that we have. So I don't blame, or I don't hold any animosity. I don't hold any anger for my teachers, my bosses, my mother, my father, my stepdad. I hold no animosity because they could not do, they could not give what they did not have. And they themselves, well, it's so rare. It's so rare to come across somebody who has been able to like step outside of the system and do what the system did not teach them to do. Entrepreneurship, that's not a part of the education system that we have. It's not a part of the entertainment system, or our families and stuff like that. For the vast majority of us, we are employees. That's what we've been designed to be. And I don't mean by God or evolution. For me, it's God designed us for that. But that the system that we are born into designs us to be just employees. I wish with all of my heart, I wish with all of my heart that when I was 10 years old, 12 years old, 15, 20, when I was a child and a young adult, that people had sat me down and taught me what I'm learning today. Because what I'm sharing with you, please understand, I don't have it all figured out. I'm learning as I'm going, and then as I figure things out, I share it with you, right? And I'm sharing with you some of the things that are, well, the things I've been figuring out the last couple of years. This past year has been huge as I've been figuring out so many things. Thank you, Dan Martell, Ed Milet, Tony Robbins, Sean Cannell for Think Media, Roberto Blake, and people who have created all kinds of content on YouTube. On YouTube, man, I like YouTube. To say, here is information that can get you out of your situation. I wish with all my heart that this could have been when I was a child. Oh my goodness. But it isn't. I'm not a child. I'm not a young adult. I'm 50. And I'm learning now. I am learning now. And so I don't want to be 85, 95 years old and learn these things and then look back and say, oh, when I was 50, I had time when I was 50. Because I kid you not, you go talk to somebody who's 85, 95 years old and say, well, if you could have changed your life from where you didn't want to be when you were 50, would you like that? And they'd be like, yes. Preferably when I was 20, preferably when I was 13. But at 50, I still had decades left in my life. And then the other big thing I'm really figuring out is implementation. One of the things I'm guilty of is knowing stuff, but being afraid to implement it. And I think that also comes from where I grew up. I went to school where I was in special education. I was in classes that were designed for people who are learning disabled. And yes, I do have learning disability. So it's not that I was mislabeled and thrown into a box so much as because I was learning disabled, I had that challenge, their expectation of me dropped. So I got the dumbed down work. I got the work that said, hey, just survive school, which is what I did. I just survived it. I never used it as a tool to get to a place I wanted to be. But here's the thing. These people, no shade to the teachers. Come on, the teachers, you know what? There are some terrible teachers in the world. Absolutely are. But the vast majority of them, they care. And they saw me struggling like I was, and so they tried to dumb down the work so I could have some form of success, some form of it. And then, we'll figure it out when he becomes an adult, which, well, they didn't know how to teach entrepreneurship. They didn't get taught that. They got taught the system. And the generation before them got taught the system, and the generation before them got taught the system. There's a whole conversation to be had about the system and where the system came from. And you know what? I could even say comes from, because it is supported today by certain entities that desire, certain people, whatever, that desire to keep the system going because they benefit from it so much. And those of us who are caught in it, like the Matrix, in a lot of ways, yeah, if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, this has real parallels. It's one of the reasons why that movie got made, or that story got written, because of the parallels. But there are those that are a part of the Matrix, that are a part of the system, that are cogs in the wheel, they're just employees, they are slaves in a lot of ways, that would fight for it because they fear life without it. How do you be an entrepreneur? This is one of the things I've struggled with. I struggle with that fear of like failure again, because I have failed so much. I don't want to fail more. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be lonely, alone, and have no legacy that I create. It is scary. And if you hold on to the system, if you hold on to the Matrix, if you defend it, you at least have that. You have a pension, right? Or you have a job you can go to. You can afford to buy your video games. I love video games. I still play them to this day. I really enjoy anime. I watch that to this day. But what if there's more? There's more possibility. There's more opportunity. If I was talking to my kid, if I was talking to myself when I was 13 years old, I would be telling myself, here's where life can go. And you are capable of more. Yes, you have the learning disabilities, but that is a boundary, not a barrier. You've grown up with special education and special classes that dumb down the work. That's fine, but that's a boundary, not a barrier, not a brick wall. It isn't that. if you frame it properly and if you approach this properly, you can be an entrepreneur. Many of the entrepreneurs in this world were people who were very unsuccessful academically. Not all. There were some that were amazingly successful, but entrepreneurship is not, it's not defined by academic accolade and academic accomplishment. In fact, the vast majority of the time, well, I shouldn't say the vast majority of the time. How do I say this? A lot of the time, the the highly academically accomplished work for the academically failed, which is that's fascinating. Oh, if I had been told this when I was a kid. And this is what I've been learning. I've been learning this stuff. I think that we're 50 now, 45, 35, 60. We still have time. We still have an opportunity. We need to take the map that we were given, take the information that we're given and just throw it away. Get rid of that. Look at where we really want to be. Look at what we really want to have. And I'm talking about life, not just, material things, which it can include that. Like we can have that inclusion, but like, what kind of life do we want to have? What kind of legacy do we want to leave? And given the time that we have, what information would we need to adopt and implement into our lives that would get us where we want to be? That would get that result. We want that result, or I want a particular result. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be in this situation again of debt and not able to pay it back and unemployed and having no control over my income or very poor control over my income. I don't want that anymore. How do I get to that place? How do I get to that place where I have say, I have control, so that I can actually contribute to this world in a great way? We wouldn't be the first that have had to start late in life, which means then that it can be done.